Hey everyone, and welcome to our guest chef demonstration video. My name's Danielle Leal, and I'm one of the board members for Family Services of Tulare County. And I'm so excited today to be joined by our guest chef, Kellie Black. Kellie's the owner of Mosh, and today we're going to be demonstrating how to put together a beautiful charcuterie board with a lot of the products that you'll be seeing in your picnic kit. So first off, Kellie, how's it going today?
Very well, very well. Thank you for having me.
Good, thank you for joining us. So right off the bat, what is a charcuterie board?
Well, charcuterie board is not just meat and cheese on a plate. It's so much more. It is art. And so today I am going to take a blank canvas and we're going to select a variety of textures, colors, flavors, and we're going to put it together and it's going to be a beautiful visual display.
All right, well, I'm excited. Everything looks delicious here. Why don't we get into it? So first off, we have a lot of product here.
Yes.
Where do you source your items from? And I know it might be different for you than it would be for a typical consumer, so break down both.
Honestly, I just like all the other consumers, I love to stay local with our local farmers. And so I try to get everything locally if I can. If not, then I will go to Whole Foods or specialty shops. But in today's world, even our local groceries, they are definitely supplying us with all of these artesian cheeses and cured meats. And so you can find it just about anywhere.
You got it.
Yeah. So an important note is to make sure you take your charcuterie board out at least 30 minutes before you serve your guest, because the cheese, the flavors of the cheese are more enhanced as they come to room temperature.
Now, I will admit that I've tried to put together a charcuterie board a time or two in my day. However, I tend to buy maybe too much of a product or too little of another product. What might be a good suggestion as to the amount of product that a person should buy when putting together a charcuterie board?
Right. My rule of thumb is 2 ounces of cheese per person and 2 to 4 ounces of cured meats per person. And then the fruit, I would say probably around 4 ounces as well. So, I mean, yeah, that's just generally my go-to.
Got it. Now, what are you doing here with the cheeses?
This is brie, and so I'm just cutting it into little triangles because that's the shape I like to place it on the board. Unless I'm doing a larger table where I'll leave big chunks of cheese whole. And then I've got some the Jarlsberg Swiss cheese, which is cubed here, and this is a sharp cheddar and manchego, and yeah, I'm about ready to start assembling.
All right, let's get into it. So, how do you assemble first? What do you do? What's your game plan?
All right, so my game plan is I usually start with my height, which is going to be the grapes because they're still on the stem. And I usually kind of start at one end and or the ends and work myself to the center.
You got it.
So one tip I do recommend though is that when you have the grapes and you want to leave them on stem, just clip a few of those. So when those go to grab, they're not picking up the whole thing. But just for today, I'm just going to show you how I'm displaying it. So we'll put some grapes on each end. This is rather large, but this is a large board.
Looks beautiful.
So, yes. So I kind of, like I said, start at the ends and we're going to work, we're going to work our way in. I like to make sure that the colors contrast one another. So we've got this bright green. I'm not going to pair it with another green like the olives. So I want to go with either a red or I'll put a cheese here. Well, let's see. I'm just going to do it.
What type of cheese is that?
This is a sharp cheddar.
A sharp cheddar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say I am wanting to build a charcuterie board. I'm having some people over to my home and I would like to impress them, and I really have my eye on a sharp cheddar, but I run into my grocery store and it's not there. What might be a great alternative or a substitute?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's endless what you can do with the board, honestly. You can do a mild cheddar or go to just completely shift the game plan and go into soft spreads. So that's another thing that I'm not displaying today, but you can use goat cheese. You can add vegetables and put hummus on the plate as well. So you can kind of just shift gears a little bit. It's really endless what you can do.
Fun. All right.
So these are dried apricots.
Love those.
You can see we're just building different shapes next to one another.
It looks really pretty with the color variation.
Yes, and please excuse me, but this is our cured meats. And this is, okay.
So you said earlier, it's more than just meats and cheese. So go through what kind of meat do we have here?
Okay, so we have prosciutto and the coppa and salami. And those are my 3 go-tos, but there are other meats if you find that you can't find these, but those are generally in supply. And so one trick I do want to share with the meats, because they're lined up in their packages, they're going to stick together. So you want to make sure that your meats are really, really cold before handling. So there's different shapes I like to do. Sometimes I'll just lay things out or crunch them up to like little purses. Sometimes I'll fold them into little triangles. Prosciutto is probably the most stickiest out of everything, so it'll tear. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid when that happens, because I usually take it and ball it up and just kind of place it, and it adds another dimension of
it's
texture.
got character.
Yes, exactly, character. But then sometimes I'll roll them and place those.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about product placement. So we have, like we mentioned earlier, a variety of different things, and we talked about color and starting at the ends. Any other tips you have for product placement? Because, you know, a board should be tasty, but it should also look really pretty too.
Most definitely. So, well, that's why I always put the crackers on a separate plate for obvious reasons. We don't want them to get soggy when they're next to a wet product. Also, the cheese as well can pick up the moisture and may give the person eating it the illusion that it's sweating, and when the cheese is not sweating. So, so yeah, just being mindful of something that's wet. Don't put it next to something that's dry.
That's probably a common mistake that I've done before.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all done it before.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other tips as we're moving along? What are you grabbing here?
These are figs.
Okay.
You can leave them whole, or you can slice them in half. These are wonderful. Sometimes hard to find, but just keep checking the farmer's market. And honestly, I also shop at Costco occasionally, which they do carry wonderful organic product.
And it's always in bulk, so that's a good thing. Well, you can build a board and then have some extra to eat at home.
Most definitely, most definitely.
All right. Now, we haven't really gotten into the dry goods yet, so are you going to start now?
Yes, I am, actually. I was just going to start placing, on our charcuterie board today, we're going to do raw almonds and then pistachios. And, I mean, again, it's whatever you like. The sky is the limit. But, again, with the nuts, too, I would place them right before you're serving. I wouldn't prepare them ahead of time in the refrigerator because the nuts will get soggy as well. So
got it.
That's something to be very mindful of.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, really, you can just build it however you like. I just like to make sure that the dark is up against something light, because that just makes it visually appealing.
It does. It looks really pretty. Now, how do you know how much fruit, you know, in comparison to how much meat? Or is that just sort of like your own kind of thing? If you want more fruit and less meat, then you just kind of create your own board.
Pretty much.
Okay.
You can do whatever you'd like.
There's no real balance there.
I like to go with the grapes on the ends generally, just because I like the height. I like the way that it looks, and it brings a sweetness to the table that pairs really, really well with the saltiness of the prosciutto. But yeah, I mean, really, that's the beautiful thing about charcuterie, is you can make it whatever you'd like it to be.
You got it.
Yeah, it's an art.
Now, we talked about product placement, but I'd also like to mention board presentation, because today we're using a wooden board, but maybe folks don't have a wooden board at home.
Right.
What might be some other options that people can use to really elevate a board and make it a pretty presentation?
Well, I think depending on what you're choosing, the darker meats and dried fruits, or even fresh fruit, like if you used a dark grape, could look beautiful on white porcelain. As you can see, I've got a pewter platter here that could be, I mean, really, again, that's the beautiful thing about charcuterie. You can make it however you desire it.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. All right, well, I'm going to let you keep working. Everything looks delicious here. I'm pregnant, so I'm excited to dive on in and eat everything, but it looks too pretty to jump in just yet.
Okay. Well,
what other kind of cheeses do you have over there?
Well, we have the Jarlsberg Swiss cheese, the cheddar, the brie, and then the manchego. This pairs very well with, because I know you're pairing with wine. Mm-hmm. It also pairs well with spirits such as bourbon and whiskey. But I think the Pinot Grigio that you're pairing with this basket is absolutely, it's just going to pop.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, we also have some herbs here, and I know we haven't gotten into that, but maybe tell me a little bit more about the fresh herbs.
So the fresh herbs, I get these from our local farmers market from Leticia Farms, and they're to just add a little greenery to the platter. You're not going to eat them, of course. So let me show you how I do this. Basically, just...
This is rosemary, correct?
This is rosemary, yes. So I'll just take little sprigs of herbs and kind of place it in between just to kind of make it pop.
Sure. So it's not necessarily, doesn't have to go with it. It just is for...
It's just
going to enhance the beauty of it.
Just enhance the visual.
You got it.
What
Okay.
we eat with our eyes first.
That's right.
And so another thing that you can do that I'm not showing today, you can add jams, you can jellies. One thing I like to do on the brie is warm it just a little in the oven and then add lavender honey. So really, there's just so much you could do.
Beautiful. Well, what else do we have left to put on our board?
Oh
We're getting pretty full here.
We're getting pretty full. Let's see.
And we've yet to put crackers on. So do you suggest putting crackers on a separate
Yes, I do
plate?
suggest
Okay.
that. Most definitely, because you don't want them to get soggy.
Good tip.
That's together. And just play with it. If you don't like where something's at, just move it around and it's fun.
You got it. It looks beautiful.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out where I want to place this.
And I think you mentioned there's no wrong place.
There is no wrong place.
something.
There's no wrong way of displaying it. Like I said, when you have the meats, you could just make them like into little purses, roll them, slice them.
But when you place it like this, it really does look more than, as you mentioned, just meat and cheese. It looks so much prettier, so much tastier. You just have a lot of variety.
Yes, definitely. So there you go.
Yeah, wrapped up.
Add a little bit more greenery.
Well, this looks great. Thank you. I know I'm going to be taking a lot of your tips that you mentioned today and wowing some guests when I bring them over to my home. As I mentioned, I probably made some mistakes creating a board before, so this is wonderful. I do just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to create this beautiful board, as well as be our guest chef for our Guest Chef Picnic series this year. I also would like to say thank you to everybody else who have supported us throughout this event, as well as Family Services of Tulare County, because truly without your support, we would not be able to provide the services to children, adults, and families to help them heal through violence and really thrive and grow in healthy relationships. So thank you again, and we hope that you enjoy your picnic basket.
Thank you.